It's good to have you here today on LNK TV. I'm Dale Johnson. Today on Lincoln Fire and Rescue, a life likely saved by CPR, a baby's life, just 13 days old. Bill Shammer, 1011 Now evening anchor here in Lincoln, is an Associated Press and Nebraska Broadcasters Association award winner. Bill is a four-time Emmy award-winning journalist, but all of that knowledge and all of that experience didn't matter on January 5th. The journalistic experience was replaced by the fear a parent gets when their child is in trouble. Bill's story starts January 5th, 13 days after he and his wife Kim celebrated the December 23rd birth of their second son, Cameron Lawrence. Bill, thank you very much for opening up and joining us on
Yes. Thank you so much for having me, Dale.
First, Bill, congratulations on being a dad again, you and your wife, Kim, the birth of Cameron. I love being a father. I have told my son, Blaze, many, many times I was put on this earth to be your dad, so he knows how much I love it. And now I'm a grandfather. So you drew me in quickly when you went to your 1011 anchor desk in early January and talked about your experience. So take us back to that time, please, Bill, about 2 weeks after you brought Cameron home.
Yeah, so everything went normal with birth. You know, he was a healthy baby boy, 7 pounds, 14 ounces. Brought him home on Christmas Day. I can't think of a better Christmas present than that. And then it would have been Monday night. So January 4th, we got a little bit of the sniffles. We didn't think much of it. He didn't seem that sick. He didn't sleep great that night. And, Tuesday morning, like any parent, okay, let's call the pediatrician, try to set up an appointment, see what's wrong. And we got an appointment in for, 11:45 that morning. And about 11:15, 11:20, we're loading him up in the car seat. My wife and I are just casually talking about, Lord knows what. And head out into our garage. I load him in the back seat, and I don't know why, because I don't always do this, but I took a double check as I clicked him in, and I looked at him, and he was, as purple as you can imagine. A 13-day-old baby that was just bright purple, and I knew something was wrong. My wife was in the passenger seat, and I Kim, you have to come look. And she came and looked at him, and she immediately recognized something's not right. So as she's yanking him out of the car seat, getting the car seat out of the car, I call 911. And, I'm trying not to use hyperbole here because I truly mean this. Our hero, an operator named Lisa, answered the phone. And in the calmest voice possible, as I'm panicking that my 2-week-old child is not breathing, and, we think he's dying in our arms, she has us, first check if he's choking. We didn't really think that was possible, but we listened to what she told us to do. We check if he's choking. We can't find anything in his mouth. She immediately tells us to lie him flat on his back. I'm on the phone with her. Kim has her child, Cameron, and I remember it crystal clear. She goes, take 2 fingers, find the right between his nipples, and just start pressing. She goes, 30 compressions, then 2 breaths, and you do them fast. And Kim does a couple rounds. I take over. He's still not breathing, and then he slowly starts to come back to us, and we hear him cry, and it's the sound I will never forget, because it means something's coming out of his airway if he's able to express tears. And then LFR shows up about 30 seconds later, and they take him and my wife to Bryan Health, where his, from my understanding, his oxygen levels kind of struggled to stabilize in that ambulance ride. Got him into the ER. They were met with a team of medical professionals. They ran a respiratory panel on him and a chest x-ray. They wanted to know if he had, all the typical things, flu, RSV, COVID-19, all of that came back negative. but his chest x-ray showed some lung inflammation that clearly something was wrong. And that's when the ER doctor said, we'd like to send him to Children's because we've kind of maxed out our care here. And that was, really one of the toughest points because of COVID-19, usually a parent can ride up to Omaha with their child, but we had to leave Cameron in the hands of the very trustworthy hands of the people at Children's Hospital and their medical transport, but we couldn't be with him. So it was probably about 2 hours before we were able to see him again. We went up to room 405 at Children's Hospital right when we got there, and he's sleeping peacefully, and we were met with a team of doctors and of residents and attendees and medical students and nurses. And, it was overwhelming in a very good way about how many people were on hand to try to take care of Cameron and figure out what's going on. And they were pumping him with 6 liters of oxygen until about 2 in the morning. And then they were finally able to decrease that a little bit. And we were able to start getting some food in him. And then our Cameron came back. He was barely sick anymore. And he just appeared to be a healthy, normal, now 2-week-old baby. And they essentially told us they don't think anything's wrong. Our biggest fear, you hear when your child's without oxygen for such a length of time, 3 or 4 minutes is our best guess. Could there be any neurological damage, anything like that? And they said, no, we don't think so. He's responding to everything. Okay, then what did this to our child? And, they said that's probably going to be one of the more frustrating pieces of this is we don't exactly have an answer. And their best guess is it was a virus that they couldn't test for, caused inflammation in his lungs, created mucus, and he just got mucus in his airway that he somehow couldn't expel. But 6 p.m. the next day, after all of the tests and everything, they said, we feel fully confident in sending you home. And reluctantly, we're like, well, we didn't really want to go home right away because the last 36 hours were such a whirlwind. But if the doctors trusted us to do so, we went ahead and took him home, and he's been a healthy, normal baby boy ever since.
And he's healthy today as we speak?
Yeah. Eats, sleeps, cries, poops, everything you'd expect from a newborn baby.
I want to bring in Nate Caldwell. Nate is a Lincoln Fire and Rescue firefighter and EMT. First, a simple question to you, Nate. Why did CPR work on Cameron? Because most people watching us today will associate CPR with a heart attack.
Yeah, so when it comes to airways and possibly choking and things like that, when it comes to American Heart Association, they recommend that if somebody is choking and they go unresponsive, that we start doing CPR on those patients or those people, and that helps expel out the object that's obstructing the airway. It helps push and force out and help. Maybe we can see it now and get it out, or help get it out of the airway so air can get down in there. And that's why it's so important, whether it's an adult or a child or a newborn baby.
Nate, explain why CPR works, whether it's in the case of choking. Thank goodness it worked for Cameron, but more times than not, it's to help someone who has had a heart attack. Why does CPR work?
CPR is so important because when we're pushing on the chest and we're pumping the heart's a pump, and we're getting that oxygenated blood to circulate through the body and help keep our vital organs functioning. And it's so important to keep that and doing that early on. So if somebody goes unresponsive in front of us, the longer that we go without giving them chest compressions or keeping their heart pumping, the worse their outcome could possibly be. And American Heart Association says that every minute without CPR, the chances of survival drop 7 to 10%, which is a huge number when you really think about it, because minutes go by really, really fast in these types of situations.
Bill, when you hear that, for every minute, and I know for you, a minute, actually probably 10 seconds seem like forever, but that's a scary thought to think in a minute, that percentage of survivability or coming back as normal as they were before they had the incident, it doesn't return. That's got to be scary to a dad.
I mean, it's terrifying. I thank God that, I've always been happy with where we live because we're, right in between two fire stations. And if anything ever happened, they would be there immediately. I think LFI was there in 4.5 minutes after our phone call, which, is amazing. But to think, if he could have gone 5 minutes or 6 minutes without any sort of CPR and what could have happened in that moment, I don't like to think about it, but it just, it reiterates why we decided to share our message. It's been pretty hard for my family and I. It's not easy to explain what happened with our son and to have to kind of relive it over and over. But we look at the good that's coming out of it, and I cannot tell you how many people have messaged me that, we're taking a CPR class, or we're gonna refresh our CPR because, like you, we don't remember it. I said we took infant CPR before our first child was born, but we forgot it. That was 2.5 years ago. We didn't remember, and without that dispatcher on the other line, without the immediate help of LFR when they were arrived to help stabilize his oxygen, who knows where we'd be right now.
Nate, back to you. Not everyone has a heart attack and the ambulance is called, the ambulance gets there, the ambulance takes them to the hospital. 10 to 12% of people who experience a heart attack have it outside the hospital and survive. So thank goodness there is Pulse Point. Let's spend a few minutes talking about that. The smartphone app that alerts users who are trained if someone nearby in a public place has a heart attack. How does Pulse Point work?
So Pulse Point's an app that you can download on your phone. It's a free app, and you can select Lincoln Fire and Rescue as the responding agency in your area, and you can select what you want to listen to. So if you want to hear what's going on in the city, you can hear certain things. But the nice thing about the Pulse Point app is when you're within such a distance of somebody that goes into cardiac arrest in a public place, it will alert your phone. It will activate your phone and will tell you that so that you can help if needed and if you want to. And it also shows you on that app where the closest AED is in that building. So if you're in Gateway Mall, it may tell you where in the building to find that. So you could send somebody to go get it while you're doing CPR.
Viewers and listeners in our city, if you've spent any time here at all, you have heard that Lincoln is a good city in which to have a heart attack. And Nate, I want to continue to draw upon your experience as an EMT. The national standard for door to balloon time, or the time between a patient entering the hospital's doors and having a blocked artery cleared, is 90 minutes. Here in Lincoln, it is 70 minutes or less. How is that possible? Explain that to viewers.
So in our world, when we're in our department, when we're called to a standard chest pain or a general weakness or difficulty breathing and things, and where you start to presume that maybe this is cardiac related, that somebody may be having a heart attack. So there's a difference between a heart attack and cardiac arrest. You can be awake and talking, having an active heart attack, and that could lead to cardiac arrest where the heart stops working. And we have certain tools on our apparatus that we have on every engine and every ambulance that we can put somebody on a cardiac monitor and take a picture of their heart and identify markers that are showing that this person's having an active heart attack. And what it's showing is that there's a blockage in one of the major coronary arteries in the heart that feeds the heart with blood. It shows us where that's located, so we can identify that, and we can bypass somebody sitting in an emergency room for 45 minutes to an hour getting a full workup again when we've already identified these things. And when we take that picture of the heart, we can send it to a hospital that has a cath lab where they can do these procedures, where there's Brian East or Nebraska Heart Institute here in Lincoln, and they can have a cardiologist look at it and make those determinations. So when we show up to the hospital, we've already given them information. We walk through the door and we go right with them straight to their cath lab, and then they immediately start doing their procedures, which cuts that time down tremendously and opens up, they can potentially open up those vessels and get oxygenated blood back to the heart.
And as you mentioned earlier, Nate, for every minute that an individual goes without oxygen to the brain, their chances decrease considerably. Where is CPR taught in Lincoln, Nate?
So there's several places that you can get CPR through, and there's several different types. Lincoln Fire actually offers it through our website. We offer American Heart Association's website, or CPR, excuse me, where we offer both CPR for healthcare providers. So if nurses, doctors, CNAs, people that are working in healthcare facilities, but we also offer what they call Heart Saver CPR, which is offered to the general public, where you get a CPR card and we go through all the steps. And then we also offer hands-only CPR, which is a much shorter course, but it really kind of breaks it down to just pushing hard, pushing fast on the center of the chest until more help arrives.
Bill, I want to bring you back into this conversation as we're nearly running out of time. You told us just before we started this conversation here that you met Lisa. You met the dispatcher. Take us back to that moment when you walked in and you met the voice that was on the other end of your phone.
It was, it was a little bit surreal. I kind of joked that, I don't get nervous for live television anymore, but my heart was pounding before I walked into the 911 center to meet Lisa. And it was just it was such a cool moment, because it was just meeting the kind soul on the other end who and my wife and I truly believe this helped save our child's life. And, she was gracious and kind, and, gave us a tour of the new operations center, which is, spectacular. I know they updated it recently, and, what happens when we call in, and why here in Lincoln, the dispatchers are trained how to give CPR, whether that's an adult, a child, or an infant, and the procedures that they go through. And I kind of got to show this off. She even gave a little gift for Cameron, the Lincoln Police Department Playground Tactical Unit. So it was just, it was incredible meeting her. And hopefully next month, I want to take Cameron there. We just want him to be a little bit older before taking him out in public. You might understand we're a little hesitant to venture out right now.
Bill, I can personally relate. Anyone that is familiar with my story. In my case, it was Nurse Jackie. She was the head of ICU that particular afternoon. And I have no idea what Nurse Jackie looked like, but I invited her to a fundraising event, and I finally got to meet Nurse Jackie. And the moment you embrace a person who contributed to saving your life, it's an undescribable moment personally for me, and undoubtedly for you and Kim when you met Lisa.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, your eyes well up and you get teary-eyed, not out of sadness, but just out of gratefulness. And, I know it's COVID, but, couldn't help but hug her. We had our masks on and everything, but, it's just, you have to embrace somebody when you've been through something like that.
Bill, share with us the reaction that you've had to going on 10/11 that night and sharing your story.
It's kind of indescribable, more than we could have ever have imagined. We've had, hundreds of people reach out and leave comments from all across the country. The story's been shared and retweeted by thousands of people. The Today Show called, Yahoo called to do an article. And our whole point in sharing our story, like I said, has been to raise awareness. There's two ways to look at this. I remember my wife and I, we were in the the hospital room that night, as Cameron was improving and we kind of knew we were on the other side of this thing. And we said, we can look at it as, the worst thing in the world almost happened to us. Or we can look at it as we were surrounded by the most amazing people in the perfect circumstances, and our baby's alive because of that. And, that's kind of the direction we've chosen to take this. And we just want people to know about the importance of infant CPR and adult CPR, and that even if you had a class 2 years ago, you might have forgotten. And then also the importance of our dispatchers. We always talk about first responders and police and fire and how important they are, and they are so important. But dispatchers are truly that first responder, often underappreciated, and as I can testify, can truly be lifesavers.
Nate, thank you very much. Nate Caldwell, firefighter EMT for Lincoln Fire and Rescue, and keep up the good work out there. And congratulations on your Firefighter of the Year award, by the way, Nate, through the Lincoln
Thank you.
Number 14. Very well done there, Nate. Bill, we're going to share your on-air story the night where you went on 10/11 and shared your story with Cameron. And before we do, I want to thank you personally for coming on LNK TV and making a difference, because it truly does make a difference in this community. Thank you.
We're surrounded by heroes. My wife, the dispatcher, the paramedics, the medical community, the healthcare workers. Lincoln is full of some amazing people. So thanks for giving us the opportunity to share our story.
Thanks everybody for watching today on LNK TV. Here is the moments, the several minutes that Bill shared from his anchoring desk at 10/11 to tell everyone about Cameron. Join us again on LNK TV for LFR.
Well, you may have noticed it has been a while since I've been at the desks. There's a good reason for that. On December 23rd, my wife Kim and I welcomed our second son, Cameron Lawrence. This healthy baby boy was born at 7 pounds, 14 ounces with a little golden red hair. As parents know, as you know, moments like this are indescribable. He was perfect. At 13 days old last Tuesday, we noticed something was off. We called the doctor, we made an appointment, and we figured he had a sinus infection. But as he was in his car seat and I was loading him into the back of our car, he turned purple. Our baby was gasping for air. Unable to breathe, we immediately called 911, and within seconds, a hero, a dispatcher on the other end, was guiding us through CPR. First my wife, then me, trying to bring our son back. And just before paramedics arrived, he started crying. And in this moment, that was a good thing. We spent the next 36 hours at Bryant Health and Children's Hospital in Omaha, where the care was phenomenal as our Cameron came back to us. Doctors don't know the exact cause, but think he likely had some mucus that he just couldn't expel, and that caused him to stop breathing. I'm happy to say that right now, Cameron is a normal, healthy, 19-day-old baby boy. From the dispatcher to the first responders to the medical staff, we were surrounded by heroes that day, and someone looking down from us from above. I have one plea. Please, parents, caregivers, please know the importance of CPR. We learned it, but we forgot it. We didn't think we'd ever have to use it. And without the guidance of a dispatcher, of a hero last Tuesday, I'm not exactly sure where we'd be today. So thank you.